Look at the creamy texture though. It's coating the back of my spoon without butter, cream or cheese. One of the perks of living in this neighborhood is that our supermarket carries dressed crab at a relatively reasonable price with the dark and white meat separated. I mean, this in itself is such a treat. But today, I want to show you a very simple trick of elevating the dark meat by making a quick risotto. Literally just the 2 ingredients. And by emulsifying the fat content in the dark meat, will bring this dish to the next level. So, couldn't be more simple. Stove on, and we add a generous amount of olive oil. You can use butter as well. Medium heat, you don't want the dark meat to brown. So, once everything is hot, we add the dark meat to emulsify. I mean, if you accidentally got a bit of the white meat, it's absolutely fine. Immediately, it smells like the sea. Oh, it's wonderful. And crab meat without salt is already relatively salty. So I wouldn't salt until the very end. Since this is such a simple dish and while this is emulsifying, let's talk about risotto rice. History and tradition aside, scientifically, risotto rice is kind of an anomaly and it presents a dilemma because in the final product, we are solving for creamy texture and flavorful rice. Now, if you're solving for flavorful rice, it's beneficial to toast them slightly in the fat before the addition of liquid. But if you're solving for texture, you do not want to toast the rice because they are very rich in starch on the surface. By toasting them, the starch becomes less effective as a thickener for your dish later. So one thing to remove this dilemma completely is to separate the surface starch from the rice grains. And it's very simple. Of course, don't show this to your Italian grandmother. This is not authentic, but scientifically, it works. So, a bowl of water, a sieve. I'm doing it this way just to show you what it does to the water. You don't have to, of course. And you lower the rice, and you let the starch release. And you can see, in the brief 10 seconds of contact, how much starch we've extracted from the rice. And now, we can toast the rice without having to worry about the starch. So, give this a bit of a mix. Make sure the flavors are emulsified, nothing's catching at the bottom. You can throw in some aromatic vegetables, but I feel like it takes away the simplicity of the dish. And besides the emulsification of flavors, we're also trying to evaporate the excess liquid, excess water content of the dark meat to concentrate their flavors. Once there's not much evaporation going on, optional step, a dash of white wine for acidity. Because the dark meat is quite rich, you need some acid to cut down the richness. If you're not using white wine, it's absolutely fine. Just add a small dash of vinegar at the very, very end. And because what we want from the wine is not flavor, but acidity, we need to cook this just enough for the alcohol to evaporate. You don't want to boil the crap out of it, because then you lose the acidity and the freshness. You can see this top layer of beautiful oil. That's the olive oil extracting the beautiful red color from the dark meat. Once you can no longer smell the alcohol, rice goes in. We toast the rice, giving it a bit of color and let the flavors emulsify. It's a very simple step, but it makes a massive difference to the end product. If you don't believe me, try both and see which one tastes better. Once you start to hear sizzle, we introduce our starchy liquid. Look at this color. I mean, it's incredible. Mix. For risotto, I mean, if you have the time and it's therapeutic for you, mother it. Stir it, release the starch for the whole 10 minutes or the whole duration of cooking. Wonderful. If not, it's okay to walk away for the first half of cooking. But for the second half, you really have to come back and mother the dish. And use the timing on the packaging as a guideline so that you know ballpark how long this needs. Once you've entered the second half of cooking, taste and you judge the doneness. While the rice is cooking, we slice a bit of chives for garnish later to add a bit of brightness to the dish. Now, with T-minus about 5 minutes, we start to mother it. And by moving them, you're rubbing the rice against each other, thus releasing more starch. And starch should be what's giving you the creaminess in a risotto, not the butter, not the cream. I'm not saying you shouldn't add those ingredients, but you should be able to achieve a very creamy texture without those two. Then you can decide how much to add. Now it's a good opportunity to clean the spoon that you used earlier. Nothing goes to waste. Now, you taste for doneness. We're about 1 minute away, and that's when we add the white meat, just for them to warm through. and you want to break them apart so they fully emulsify. I mean, if you really care about presentation, you can save a tiny bit of white meat just for the very end on top, but I think today we're fine. So now every spoonful will have a bit of white meat, a bit of rice, and all the flavors from the dark meat. Look at the creamy texture though. It's coating the back of my spoon without butter, cream, or cheese. And when I draw a line in the middle, it takes a while for the rice to go back. So that's when I know, texture-wise, I'm also ready. Now we can plate. I mean, today we're doing some Instagram plating, of course, but at home, just use a regular plate, you don't need to do this. Some ugly chives that would have gone to waste anyway. Some nice chives. Now, look at this beauty. The creaminess, oh my god. Straight back to where it came from. Tiny a bit more chives for garnish and brightness. And of course, a bit of Instagram plating. And that's it. 10 minutes from the moment the dress crab left the supermarket, we have our dress crab risotto. I really, really hope you enjoy.